Hi guys, welcome back to another video. Today I have Pratham with me. Yeah.
What's up?
What about you? What do you do?
So I have been a self-taught programmer and I've worked in the crypto space for over 4 years. Worked at like a bunch of Ethereum like scaling solutions. So I worked at Celestia, I've worked at Eclipse, I've worked at Movement. So a bunch of L2s, worked with Rust, Python, all those programming languages. And now I'm working on like the intersection of DeFi and AI on Hyperliquid. Big fan of Hyperliquid since last year.
Yeah,
so
man, it's shilling me Hyperliquid. Yeah, but today we're going to be talking about Indian stock market and probably where do you see India as a global power in the future. I don't know whether it's like really into your thing, but yeah. So right now we can see that Nifty is probably a bit overvalued. Do you see a difference between Nifty and the Sensex?
Well, so India is a growing economy, right? Like compared to like Japan, for example. Japan's stock market has kind of stalled for a while, and their economy is as well. But like India is going to continue to grow. There's so many people here, so much money to be spent on like defense infrastructure, healthcare, like consumer goods. So there's just so much growth, and I think from that perspective, the valuation is all right. I mean, if you look at Nvidia, I think Nvidia at some point was over a P of 100.
Generally, we're looking at projections here. You know, I think in India it's really sectorial based because it's also equally as overvalued as the US equity market. I think both of them, the two most overvalued in the global economies right now. So in general, do you think that some sectors will outperform others when you see it like transitioning the next maybe 20-year period where it starts taking status as a global power? Because you know, China is a bit slowing down now. We have lower birth rates, lower fertility, lower production, and India could take that place, but a lot of people say that India doesn't have the infrastructure to actually get there yet. You know, they have the manpower for sure, you know, but they can fight in terms of a cost of production, effective input kind of basis, but can they really compete with the US and China in terms of tech?
I think that's where a lot of R&D and money is flowing into. I think, for example, if you take at the defense sector, that is going to grow forever because like there's like India has too many conflicts going on around. So you want to make ballistic missiles, you want to make airplane engine parts, like for fighter jets, you need lots of like precise technology, and investing there is like almost essential. The government is going to fund it. So I think the defense sector is going to do well. Then like also like consumer goods, for example, like I think dental companies are going to do really well because there's a new regulation change in India where now you have like dental health as part of your health insurance. So like all the 30 million or whatever homes that are in India, now they'll have free access to like dental care. So
you think like dental stocks and dental industries the dental industry would do well because they are directly inputting like the capital inflow into insurance?
Yeah, so like if you can go and do a dental checkup once a year for free, why would you not do it? And like people are like are really concerned about how they look, right?
Yeah, I think when you approach like the middle class, it's like what happened with like China as it went on. People will be more interested in like upkeeping themselves and more about wellness, and that's what like the middle class will be like focused on. So like I said, I think dental will be good. I also think defense will always be good because if you look at in a climate where there's so much conflict around like Russia, Ukraine, China, like and US, you see that like Lockheed Martin, you see that so many of these defense industries are doing well. Likely, but do you think like India can actually fight in terms of like in nuclear or in a defense compared to the rest of the world? They're actually not there yet in terms of their nuclear arsenal and everything.
They're not, but like we made significant progress in terms of like just making like major parts of like let's say airplane engines or like fighter jet parts. So like titanium parts are really hard to make and they have to be extremely precise. That is being made in India now. So we've made very significant progress there, and we're also like collaborating with other countries on like making fighter jets. So we're getting there, and that's why it's just like it's an ever-growing industry. So that like very bullish on that for sure. And I think apart from that, like we talked about consumer goods, and like even like some of the luxury like brands have done really well. So for example, in India there's this company called Titan. It is like a watch brand, like luxury watch. I mean, they do all kinds of watches, but they have like really luxury watches too. And like their stock has done extremely well in the past like 20 years. Also, a lot of people are getting into investing and like they're doing options and like futures and
that's why Modi trying to put more into the domestic stock market. I told you, like that's why he said like invest 50% of your savings into it. But do you see like India bullish for the next like 5-10 years? It's something like when Japan bottomed out in the 1980s towards here, they went on one whole parabolic run. India is already in the midst of a parabolic run. Do you see this continuing
I think I think what happened to Japan is like they became too successful for their own good.
Too fast, right?
Exactly, and what happens when everyone is rich and wealthy is that they have less children.
Yeah.
When we have less children, like the birth rates go down, and that leads to like a slow stalling of the economy. But I think Japan's biggest like win was that they invested into like hardcore technology, right? Like
Samsung or something, yeah.
yeah, like all the Sony, for example, like they did so well. But like again, once you have a slowing economy, like it's really hard to get away from it, and they have an aging population.
I think it's tied to a lot of population projections as well. But India probably is going to stall in like 2050 years, man. It's still quite a while to go. So I still think there's like still a... Because the bull run will continue because production is going to keep up.
Right.
As in, it's just that way you look at it.
Right. And in fact, like one of the best part, like coming back to the point on like people doing more investing, BSC, like the stock exchange, it's also operated as a company. So I think that has been like one of the best performing stocks on the stock exchange itself, like BSC. So yeah, they've been making insane amounts of returns, or like just people gambling on options. I think that'll stop at some point. But like people are going to continue.
There's not a lot of enough regulations for that right now to stop. Yeah.
They're trying to, because it's bad for retail, right? They're getting
a lot of retail gets fleeced by like North Korea or whatever.
Exactly, like you have 0-day options, like out of the...
It's gambling, straight up. And it's a very poor RR kind of thing. You're giving most of it to premiums.
Exactly, it's gambling. So that will eventually stop. But people are not going to like stop investing in the stock market, and there's so many companies that want to get listed. So
you know, gambling, I've read that it's only best when there's a very destitute or desperate middle class. It's generally like in Korea and Japan, there's like the culture of gachi gaming. It's a term when like, because they don't have kids to take care of and they just give up on their whole lifestyle, so they're just, hey, they have no prospects nothing to lose, no prospect for marriage, no kids, gamble. But I think India still has like, you still have the next generation to take care of, because they still have a very big growing middle-aged population. So I don't think it's at a stage where they're dead.
And honestly, it's a
gambly.
bit... I personally found it a bit surprising, because India generally has like a very low risk tolerance, and like the people tend to save a lot of money. They're not very...
The high savings culture. It's an Asian thing, I think.
Exactly, yeah, but they still gamble. So I think it's something that the newer generation is doing, and yeah, well, the stock market is benefiting from it. There are regulations like taxes and things coming into play, so let's hope it stops. But yeah, those are like some picks.
Thanks for taking the time for this hike and this conversation. If you like saw our video, remember like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye-bye.